directly affected what happened to this community and communities all across Ohio and all across America. But not only did Mr. Kasich vote for those trade deals, he did something else that I think is perhaps even more disturbing. You know, you can have differences of opinion regarding trade deals. But I'll tell you what we did at the federal level. We created a program called the Federal Trade Assistance Program, the TAA. And that program was developed specifically to provide assistance to workers like these workers who had lost their jobs because of these trade deals and were no longer employed. And so trade adjustment assistance would provide these workers with job training and job seeking assistance. And John Kasich, when he was the chair of the House Budget Committee, actually put forth a budget that eliminated totally trade adjustment assistance. So not only did he vote for bad trade deals that cost these folks and many thousands, hundreds of thousands of Americans their jobs, he wanted to deprive them of any assistance in trying to get their lives back together and to be reemployed. That's pretty reprehensible in my judgment, but that's a part of his record. He has other parts of his record that I find disturbing, but this is what happened. After leaving Congress, having voted for Wall Street while he was there, John Kasich got a job on Wall Street, and he went to work for a company called Lehman Brothers, a large investment banking company. And John Kasich had a major role with Lehman Brothers. He became one of their managing directors. For a while, he had a big corner office in New York City, as well as an office in Central Ohio. During those years, nearly 8 years, he worked for Lehman Brothers. He made millions of dollars. We know that he approached Ohio's public pension systems, trying to get them to invest with Lehman Brothers. Now, he says those efforts did not lead to any work for Lehman Brothers, but I think there's a lot we still do not know about that. But we do know he became quite wealthy while working for Lehman Brothers. And yet, he refuses to release his income tax returns so that the public can know just how much money he made while he was there. You know, nearly every candidate for governor in Ohio has released their income tax returns so that the public would know if there were conflicts of interest, how much they made, who paid them, and so on. I've released my income tax returns for 10 years. John Kasich continues to refuse to release his income tax returns, with the exception of allowing some reporters to come in and spend a few minutes, I'm told about 15 minutes, I'm not sure exactly how long they were given, but a relatively short period of time just to look at his 08 returns, but none other of his returns. But we know he made a lot of money, because his 28 returns show that during that year he made somewhere in the vicinity of a couple $100,000 as a salary, but he also received more than a $400,000 golden parachute bonus the very year that Lehman Brothers was moving toward bankruptcy. Now, Ohio Pensions did have some investments with Lehman Brothers, and as a result of that, Ohio's public pensions lost over $400 million as a result of Lehman Brothers going bankrupt. So Lehman Brothers went bankrupt, and John Kasich decided to run for governor. Now, he says, you know, I have business experience because of my work on Wall Street, and I know how to create jobs. And so Ohio needs jobs, and we all know that Ohio does need jobs. That's what we talk about all the time, right? All the time. But this is the question that I think he needs to answer. The only real business connection that I know that he's had in his life has been with Lincoln Brothers. And I assume that he's thinking that working for a company that represents the largest bankruptcy in American history is good business experience. I don't think that's the kind of leadership that Ohio wants during these very difficult economic times. Choices between Ohio values and Wall Street values. You see, I think John Kasich was a Wall Streeter before he ever went to Wall Street, because as he served in Congress, he represented Wall Street values with his votes to send jobs out of the country, with his votes against working people who may need additional training to be reemployed after losing their jobs to bad trade deals. And then when he went to Wall Street, he certainly became a part of that culture. And the Wall Street culture led us to this recession. And people need to understand that connection. Now, I want the people of Ohio to fully understand what's at stake in this election. Mr. Kasich is not very clear regarding what he would do as governor. He has been rather hesitant to talk about what he would do, with the exception of one major proposal. And he says that if he becomes governor, he wants to phase out and get rid of our state's income tax. Now, the state income tax over the last 10 years has provided about 46% of all of the revenue that we have to operate our state with. Revenue to support our schools and our colleges and universities, revenue to support local governments, revenue to support public safety, police, fire, revenue to support our libraries, our state parks, and he says he wants to get rid of that. Now, if you get rid of 46% of the revenue that we have to operate our state with, what's that mean? That means we're going to have to reduce state spending by 46%, or we're going to have to raise other taxes. And what would those other taxes likely be? Well, there's only certain ways that you can get more money. Would he impose a sales tax? Would he impose other taxes that would be more regressive and more harmful to average working folks? I don't know, but I think he has an obligation to talk about that. So I'm here because this community in particular, and these workers specifically, have suffered as a result of actions and votes that John Kasich cast when he was a member of Congress. And they have suffered now during this recession as a result of what he and his friends at Lehman Brothers did to bring this economy to the edge of total collapse.